Warning. This program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. All right, my furious friends, welcome back for episode 30 of the Unshackled Fury podcast, your uncensored home for all things Warcraft. I am your host, Berzerker, and with me, as always, is the man who is the Yanny to my Laurel. He is Navox. Welcome back again, sir.
Thank you. So what's been going on with you, man?
Oh, trying to figure out whether or not I'm a Yanny or a Laurel person, so I had to throw this in here because, whenever there's an internet happening, I really like to make sure I'm part of it in a non-impactful kind of way. I just want to watch from the sidelines and say, yes, I have an opinion about this thing. And this was just the latest. So yes, sir. Not too much beta time. We were talking about this. We're unfortunately not getting as much time in as we'd like. But I've been steadily leveling my Death Knight through. Now he's 110, and I'm getting through all of the cool Order Hall stuff that I've been kind of holding off on, and seeing all of the fabulous prizes and questing that the Bolvar Lich King has in store. So that's been a lot of fun. I know this is the thing I've been talking about for like the last, I don't know, it seems like 6 weeks or so. But man, this one, the Death Knight Order Hall stuff is way better than the Warrior stuff was, as much as I hate to say that.
Well, no, it probably has a lot more storyline than just us walking up to Odin and him sending us on quests all the time. It's like, great, what is, we're Odin's bitch, basically. It's like, okay.
Well, and guys like, Darian Mograine, really cool character. A lot of the Death Knight, it's just that aesthetic. It's just so cool. And they got what I think, and we said this a long time ago, is that the Warrior Order Hall, I like the whole Skyhold, Odin, Valhalla, Viking culture, Vrykul thing. Like, I dig all of that, but it's not necessarily like a warrior thing in the same way that I think a Hall of Heroes kind of thing, where like, where's all the famous warriors at? You go to the Death Knight joint, and man, there's Death Knight stuff everywhere, and it's all the people you'd expect to see, and it's super cool. So anyway, I'm enjoying the hell out of that. But how about yourself? How's the Mythic rating going?
Mythic rating's going really well. We've decided just to keep our lockout extended at Eminar, and we finally made ourselves. We finally kind of figured out the bridge transition for Mythic Eminar, thanks to a friend of mine in a different Discord channel, and I messaged him, and he was able to help me out with some things, and we found out we were just moving a little too quickly across the bridges, and it's better if you go a little bit slower, and you have the tanks pop the stasis traps, and then you have the rest of the raid pop the mine traps, and then that's how you clear the bridge, and then coming back, it's just a matter of that one's a real puzzle to figure out, and once you figure it out, it's a fun fight. A lot of these fights are a lot more fun on Mythic than they are on Heroic, puzzle wise. Like when you're trying to figure this game, when you're trying to figure the raid out, it's a lot more fun that way. Other than that, I've been trying to get, so I thought I was done with my druid with I thought I was done when I got my druid his artifact legendary from the Mage Tower, and then I decided, you know what, the paladin needs his too. So now I'm working on the protection paladin one, because I like I like Metzin's quote with sometimes you just need to dish out a little bit of justice every now and then. So I like the the whole, I don't know, it's a weird cowboy feel with playing a paladin and stuff like that, and just running around.
It's a holy warrior.
Yeah, it's a holy warrior. Yeah, exactly. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. So, awesome. But that's about it on my end. We had discussed this a little bit earlier. I have not, as much as I enjoy getting in on the nuance of the Battle for Azeroth, I haven't been playing the beta all that much. mainly because we're about to do it in August, and I don't feel like running through everything a second time. So, and I'm not like everybody else. I'll just go play a horde character, so it won't ruin it for Alliance. No, I can't get into that. So
it's tough, and one of the things, like you were saying, one of the things that we talked about was the fact that I know for players like myself, it's trying to find that balance between how much I want to see ahead of time versus how much do I want to experience live the first time.
Right.
And I still go back to where a lot of the exploration is what I spend a lot of my beta time doing, is just what are all the new things I can see, or what's changed, or what have they added, and trying to maybe kind of do a little mystery exposing of my own, just kind of trying to figure some stuff out without, what did Wowhead data mine today? Like,
right.
It's easy to do, and it's easy to fall into, and for some people they want that and they love that, and Odin be with you. But for me, I still like that surprise. And if anything, the one thing that I really blame for my not wanting to be spoiled anymore, because there was a time, don't get me wrong, when I'd be on MMO Champion every morning going, what did they find out? What's the video that they've shown? What's the thing? This and that. The first time that I saw the Wrathgate, I didn't expect it. I didn't know what was happening. I thought the game had shut down because the whole thing cut to black. It was like the whole Sopranos thing. And all of a sudden this video pops up, and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? This is what's happening? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I still watch that thing to this day. I still pull that up
that
on
was
YouTube.
That was a good cinematic. I like that a lot.
And from then on, I've tried to avoid spoilers as much as possible. And that it was included that same expansion where with the Lich King, I had no idea how the Ice Crown Citadel raid ended. I didn't know. I didn't want to know. I know they had the video. You could click on the statue and watch the whole thing. I avoided it like crazy. Somehow I was able to get away with that because when my raid team finally killed it, it was a complete surprise to me. I had no idea what was going to happen. So when Bolvar took up the helm and the whole thing, I mean, I damn near crapped my pants because I was like, this is amazing. And from then on, I've tried to avoid spoilers as much as possible. But now that I've said all of that, I'm going to put my foot in my mouth a little bit. Because for our Rage segment this week, it does involve a little teeny tiny bit of spoilers. And I had to go ahead and kind of see some stuff ahead of time to make sure we could have this part of the conversation without going too far. Why don't we go ahead and get back into some Rage?
Well, let's do it.
Let's rage.
So there's data mining going on. And there is a lot of information floating out there now about what's to come in Battle for Azeroth, specifically related to allied races. One of those allied races that they've advertised for, it's a well-known thing, this is not a spoiler, are the Magar Orcs, which they've shown. They're awesome. They have these great customization bits to them, the tattoos and all kinds of stuff. And they look awesome.
Right, yeah.
But, and here's a little spoilery part. It's where those orcs come from that is the thing that has got me a little worked up. So before that, let's go back a few years. Let's go back to hallowed antiquity. Back to the time of warlords of Draenor.
Yeah.
When, for the first time, we were exposed to, and this isn't some Caverns of Time nonsense, real time travel, alternate universe stuff going on.
Right.
When essentially we went back in time to Draenor prior to it exploding and turning into Outland. And we went back and met all of the various baddies from, Warcraft lore and had a little time travel adventure. And we all remember that. And at the time, people started freaking out, rightfully so, saying, well, wait a minute. Now there's this alternate version of Draenor. Does that mean there's an alternate version of Azeroth? Is there an alternate version of the old gods? Is there an alternate version of the Pantheon? What does this mean? What are the implications? What have we gotten ourselves into? And what did Blizzard say to us? Benevolent Blizzard, who we love. What did they say?
They said that this was that nothing's happened to Azeroth. That
Right.
timeline is intact. There's nothing there, and that what you're experiencing is just a different moment in time. That's it. But nothing's happened to your Azeroth timeline whatsoever. Wasn't that Tom Chilton that said that? Was that who said
I
that?
believe that
No,
at least the impression that I was left with, and now I'm not going to tell you I have a clip here ready to be played because I didn't do a whole lot of research before I came on here and started flapping my gums. But what I feel like we were told anyway was that this was a pocket of time that would not infringe on the Azeroth and the timeline and all the stuff that we know. I mean, does that seem about
Yes.
the gist of what we were told?
Yes. Yeah.
So now, here we are, 2018. Here comes your spoilers, folks. So fast forward a few minutes if you don't want to hear this. And it turns out, oh no, we're going back to Draenor, and we're going to save us some Magar orcs because Uriel and the Light and a whole bunch of other crazy stuff has gone nuts on the alternate Draenor that we saved.
Yeah.
So now there is an influence from that. We are going back to that Draenor. They are having an effect on a future expansion, even though they told us that they wouldn't.
Yeah. It is. It's kind of weird, and it also feels kind of. I've seen it on Twitter too. Some people say that it hits too close to real life events. It's like we've meddled, and when we left everything in a worse case, and the light in Draenor has gone unchecked.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like I've seen the word genocide being thrown around.
Yeah, that was.
Ooh.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that was a little surprising, especially since if we didn't save Uriel, she would have just been some dead Draenei. You know, it's like, okay, well.
She would have been one of the skulls on the way from the portal to Hellfire Citadel,
Yeah,
crushed into
exactly.
the dirt.
Right.
See, this is where, and all of us that love science fiction and fantasy and all this kind of stuff, time travel is a very difficult arena to work with. I mean, even something as seemingly simple as Back to the Future,
Right.
there are seemingly huge loopholes in how that franchise works
Yeah.
in terms of being able to go from one period to another and back and forth and all that stuff. And I think I've heard within our geek culture, timey-wimey, I think is a phrase that's out there to describe sort of the intricacies of time travel when it comes to our favorite creative works. And this makes me a little bit nervous, I'm not going to lie, because I had always been under the impression that whatever happened on Draenor, it's like Vegas, whatever happened on Draenor stayed on Draenor. We
Right.
don't have to worry about it infiltrating on our day-to-day life. And now somehow portals are opened, people are going back there, or they're coming here, or there's something going on, and I don't want to get too far into it, but I trust Blizzard, but this does feel a little bit like a cop-out that they had to figure out some way to make this happen, and so they reached into an area that they were kind of promising they wouldn't anymore. And it also opens up now the comment. I mean, granted, they can wave away any comment they want, but it's like, well, if you did it for this, why can't you do it for something else? You know, we
Right.
really could use somebody from this alternate such and such a thing. Why can't we have this person? Why can't we have this person? Could we get a good Arthas to fight the Lich King? I don't know. Like, why not? That sounds awesome. So, I have to say, I haven't played through the scenario yet. I'm sure that the recruitment of the Magar orcs makes sense in some kind of way. I doubt they would have put the time and energy into something that was just totally ludicrous bullshit. But it does make me a little bit worried that they've opened this window back up. So, what do you have any other concerns, or am I the only one?
No. I mean, it's just. I think it was just a way. You know, I think it's just going to be a way for Blizzard to explain. Hey, look, this is why they're here. You know, we have no other way to bring them here. So here's the storyline. So I don't necessarily know if, you know, I don't know what's in store for us, and I'm kind of getting in the same boat with you with not. I kind of want to know the storyline, but then I'm like, well, you know, it's going to be coming in August, so maybe I'll just, you know, leave the story alone and not read too much into it. Don't read the quest text. Don't read that, or don't read the data mined material, and
Yep.
just be surprised. But Urel wasn't one of my favorite characters. I know she is for a lot of people, but it wasn't really one of my favorite characters. I actually preferred the orc storyline of the Frostwolf clan, and we didn't really get a whole lot of storyline from the Alliance side until there was just it was it Grama? No, it wasn't. I'm sorry. It was God, I'm so bad with the names. The main the main black hair ponytail guy. What's his name? The main orc.
Grom.
Grom.
Well, we have to call him Gromash because I think there was a legal something and they couldn't use the name Grom, so I think it's Gromash.
Oh, okay. So
the one that flew through the air and chopped the dude in the head in the cinematic.
It. There you go. Thank you. So he's in the last raid tier of Warlords. He is being held, and then we rescue him, and then that's it. We don't hear from him again. It's like, huh. So I mean, I really liked the Frostwolf. I liked the Frostwolf tribes. I like that, even though I'm an Alliance and all that. But Urel wasn't that big. Wasn't a big character to me, but I know she was for a lot of people. So we'll see what the outcome is there without getting too spoilery, without diving into Wowhead and going through all the data mine stuff.
Well, I know a lot of people were upset because it felt like there were things hanging there with what happened to Grom, what happened to Uriel. You see, once we defeat Archimond at the end of Hellfire Citadel, that, okay, they're there, and then what? It really did feel like their stories were incomplete. So maybe they already had this on the horizon. Chances are they say that they worked 2 or 3 expansions ahead, so I'm going to guess that they knew maybe or had some idea that it was going this way, but...
I can't wait to see the Chronicles for Warlords of Draenor. That's what I want. It's like, I think it's just going to be like, hey, Warlords of Draenor happened, next chapter.
And that, you know what? And now you bring up another good point about why this is a bad idea, because here they are, they're making these Chronicles.
Yeah.
They're trying to tie all of their loose ends up, and they're trying to solidify and make their lore cohesive, and then here they are blowing it up again and going back into their alternate universe pocket. There
are some whiteboards at Blizzard that hopefully they won't get erased, because I'm sure there's some there that have the timeline.
There's that lore dungeon.
Don't erase that.
It's all permanent ink down there. Oh God! All right. Well, I think I've let a little steam off on this one. So why don't we jump into some of our news items?
All right.
Last time we were on here, or one of the 2 times ago, we were talking about BlizzCon tickets. And at this point, BlizzCon tickets have come and gone. Like every other year, they sell out within moments, and you can go through your Twitter timeline and see who has won and who has lost and who is, going to be walking the streets, I guess, kicking rocks and hanging their head and sad and lonely. But here we are, also now looking at what's going to be happening at BlizzCon for people that are lucky enough to be going, or even if you're not going to the convention itself, and this was a point made by our guest last time, the lovely Miss Sal, is that you can go and just party.
Right.
You don't even have to go to the convention itself.
Right.
So right now, you have, I believe, the remaining throes of fundraising for, there's essentially 2 major parties,
right,
I believe, events that are left. And from somebody who has been to these, now I know, I'm gonna go way back to the founding of this podcast, when I had proclaimed that this was a podcast for the everyman. It still is. That we would never throw parties for ourselves because we aren't that kind of group. I still believe that's the case. But I'll tell you, I did go to BlizzCon a couple of times, and I did go to some of these parties, and they actually were kind of fun. Oh, you got me. You got me. I have to say, the people that put these things on, they do an enormous amount of work. And there is art to be seen. There's people from the community. There's people from Blizzard. They really do a pretty good job. So if you get the chance, you're going down there, throw them a couple bucks, help them out. Because that thing, I mean, I have to say, those really are some pretty fun parties that they put together. Now, one of them that you and I are tangentially tied to some degree is the Convert to Raid Guild has a party, or has had a party for the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
And as it turns out, that is one that will not be happening this year.
Right. Yeah. Well, right now there's nothing in the works for a grand party that they have been throwing. I think something's in the works to put something impromptu together once everybody's there. You know, not a huge party, but just a get together of the community.
Because it sounds like that there is some groundwork that's been laid for that already, and they do a
lot of work. They do a lot of work prior to that thing. So yeah, I mean, there was a lot of groundwork done, and then for the people who are involved with working on it, it's a lot of time, a lot of effort, and I think it hurts a lot of. I think it's going to hurt a lot of those people if something doesn't happen there, because they're so used to having, something for the community at BlizzCon. But like it was said, there impromptu thing. Something will happen while you're there. Just get on Twitter, follow this, that the @CTR Guild, and and everybody else involved, and see what happens there.
Yeah, of the three, I think there was World of Podcasts, Con Before the Storm,
right,
and the CTR party.
Those
kind
are
of
the big three. Yep.
And they were all held at the Hilton, which they charge you for rent space, quote unquote rent space. You got to pay for the facility essentially. And I know that there's typically stages and mics and kind of like audio setups. There's been people there taking pictures at tables and doing signings and all kinds of stuff like that. The CTR party in particular had contests and raffles, and I think there was a live stream being hosted where you could get on and act like an idiot and, have a good time, that kind of thing. So that got me thinking, because I've thought about this more than once. CTR wasn't having a party. Let's say they don't have a party this year. Let's say the parties kind of wind down.
Okay.
Maybe next year, 2019, there's an opening for a party. Somebody could host something.
Somebody could host something.
What would, and I'm not saying Unshackled Fury would sponsor a party, but what would a party hosted by Unshackled Fury?
Oh man,
what would that look like? What should we do? What would we do? What would be fun to do?
Huh. Well,
the first thing I'm thinking is a Mike Morheim dunk tank. He'll never agree to it, and I could never pay him enough for it. But maybe we could get somebody to do it. The hotel would be pissed because they get water everywhere. Maybe sneak it in somehow.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I mean, I don't know. I've not been a really big, party.
What makes for a good party? Like if you go to a party, like what makes it good? You gotta have food.
You gotta have food.
You gotta have a bar.
Yeah. You gotta have a bar. Gotta have food.
Gotta have tunes.
The atmosphere. Gotta have the atmosphere. Gotta have the tunes. Yeah.
You gotta have a reason for people to want to go, and nobody would show up for you and I.
Right.
We're not. I mean, we're exciting people, but we're not that exciting.
No, you'd have to get a lot of. You'd have to see if you. That was the best thing about. That's the best thing about these parties is that the Blizzard employees actually show up, and the influencers and all the people around the community.
Wait a minute. This is an influencer-free party. Unshackled Fury could not deign to have influencers in the midst, or at least advertised. You want to show up and drink our booze, that's okay. But don't go in there and say, I'm going in there because there's an influencer. That's where I draw the line. Blizzard personalities.
Yeah, Blizzard personalities.
A live band. That's what we need. We need Songhammer.
Oh, that'd be a good group to have in there. Yeah.
I mean, they usually play outside, and I'm sure they get paid. And
lots of barbecue, I'm thinking.
Way better gig. But maybe we could get like a Song Mallet. The cover band,
Yeah.
A couple of guys, using trash can lids for shields. That's all we could afford.
So we look like panhandlers in a bunch.
Unshackled Fury presents the Panhandlers. Yeah. So I'm thinking, I'm just going to put this out there to any of our listeners. If you have ideas, right? Because whenever I see these things, it's always, we're going to tell you what's going to be at the party. I want to know what our listeners, if Unshackled Fury was to have, let's say, an event at BlizzCon where we just happen to also be there, maybe running it, what would you like to see? What would be the thing that would get you to say, you know what? I usually don't go to these things, but because this one thing is happening, and I mean, listen, it could be anything. You want a petting zoo? Maybe we can get a petting zoo. Maybe it's a snow cone machine. Maybe it's the Snoopy snow cone machine from the 80s, and you're like, man, if I had one of those, I'd definitely show up to this party, even just for like 30 seconds. So you can always send your ideas to us. We always give this information at the end of the show, but at Berzerker Rage on Twitter, at Nav_OX, at Unshackled Fury Show at gmail.com. Give us your ideas, people, because listen, 2019's a ways away, and you never know. One of us may win the lottery between now and then and be able to afford to throw our own party down there at the Hilton. So, in other news, one of the big topics we've seen floating around our community lately is the announcement and appearance of Call of Duty Black Ops 4 now being on our Blizzard launcher as another game from the Activision part of the family getting involved.
Right.
And it seems like this has upset a few people. What have you seen about this?
So I know that Call of Duty in general has a bad complex with it, where people are like, "Oh, I don't want those people infringing on my, gameplay. It's a tainted community. They're all bad people who play Call of Duty. I don't want to listen to these jocks play Call of Duty. It's got that bad persona that goes with it, where you feel like they are the bullies of the crowd and this, that, and the other. And I have to say that you're gonna have that in any game you have. You're gonna have the good and the bad with any game you play. And I actually am in the ball. I'm on the side that I like Call of Duty. I like playing Call of Duty. Yes, my blood pressure gets raised when I play it, sure, but I was on board with this Call of Duty Black Ops 4 because I love the Black Ops series. And
what is it exactly? For those of us that may not necessarily, because it's been a long time since I played a Call of Duty game. I mean, long time. What is it, or what's so good about it, or what is the game exactly?
All right, so if anybody's played Call of Duty, if you played the original Call of Duty, it was a World War II game, and you would go through and you would you'd play the Americans, and you're advancing through Europe, and you're defeating the Nazis at the time. Well, the game has progressed so that then you got into the Modern Warfare series, and that was modern weapons, modern vehicles, things of that nature. And it was just the storyline evolved, and it was what I liked about the game was you'd get the single player game that's just over the top. It's like you're playing in a Michael Bay movie. I mean, it's just so it's like an over the top dramatization of what you'd experience in battle, and
sounds very realistic.
And then it goes. You went from Modern Warfare 2, which was one of the best games in the series, and then Modern Warfare 3. Well, in that timeline, different companies. You had Infinity Ward, who did the Modern Warfare series, and you had Treyarch, who broke off, or Treyarch was handed this game called Black Ops. Black Ops was a Cold War era version of the game. So first Black Ops, it's a Vietnam game. Black Ops 2, was more modern day era battle, and then Black Ops 3 went into the future, and you had wall running and jets and jump jets, and it was a little ridiculous, albeit it was fun once you got the hang of everything. But what they promised with Call of Duty 4, which got me on board for just a couple minutes, was that it's going to be back to a boots on the ground type game, which means you're not going to be wall running, you're not going to be jump jetting, you're not going to be doing any of that stuff. It's just the players on the ground, and it's just you versus somebody else. Well, what really got me where I was just like, I'm out, was that they're not including a single player campaign, and I don't play zombies. They include a zombie game with Black Ops, and there's no single player campaign, and I really enjoy the single player campaigns of these games just because it's a very long game, and it's a long game you could sit down and play it in maybe one evening, but if you break it up, for those of us that want to savor the game,
right?
It goes on for a couple days, couple evenings, and it's over the top storyline, like I said, Michael Bay, but there's no single player campaign with this. So I think I'm out on this one. I know, because I think Activision saw what Blizzard did with Overwatch. They just put out a battle royale game with teams. It's like, okay, so we didn't have to come up with a campaign. Here's all the characters. Go right into multiplayer. Here you go. Go kill each other. It's smart. Activision's smart to put it out there with the Blizzard launcher. You're going to reach a broader fan base of people that are already playing these other Activision games now, and you don't have to pay Steam anything either. So
good old Steam.
Good old Steam. Yeah.
Well, now why are people so upset that it's on the Blizzard launcher? Because I see people screaming about, I want to have an option to take games off my launcher so I don't have to see them anymore. Like, if you're not playing it, who cares?
Yeah, I think it's just because a lot of people say that takes up real estate. Even though I just see right now I'm looking at my launcher, and when I right click on the Blizzard launcher, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 shows up at the very, very top. I'm like, just put it to the bottom, or put, it's not alphabetical, because right underneath.
Mine defaulted to the bottom with Destiny on mine.
See, Destiny's middle on mine, and World of Warcraft is second underneath Call of Duty Black Ops. So I was like, I don't know how that happened. But, yeah, maybe to have a toggle to turn it on and off to help people, I guess. But I don't know. I don't know why I don't know why people are upset by it, other than the fact that I think they have a rough idea of the bad, the bad that comes with the community. I don't know how else to say it.
I always thought it was more of a brand loyalty or purity sort of thing, where it's like, we're the Blizzard folks. And I remember this happened when Destiny showed up, is that, yes, it's Activision Blizzard, that's the company. You go look up the stock, that's the company, it's Activision Blizzard. But we have always been the Blizzard people. We came up with Warcraft and StarCraft and Diablo and now Overwatch, but that's our house. There's Activision, there's Candy Crush out there, there's some other bullshit that none of us play, but, and by none of us I mean millions of people. But this is our group here. This is our grouping. And then and to see that first game when Destiny jumped onto the launcher, it was like that part in Diablo 3 when Imperius is sacrilege. That's the thing I always think of when I see this, because people flipped out. They got really upset by it, and I understand that it seems like there is some infringement of real estate, I suppose, is one way to look at it. But I guess the thing is I don't really play Heroes of the Storm. I really don't play Hearthstone. I mean, I somewhat play Overwatch every now and again. It's like, there's already a bunch of games that I either really don't play or I look at every once in a great while because I'm just curious about what's going on. So I was a little confused as to why people were getting so upset about it. But I'll tell you this, I was never going to play Destiny 2 before, and then they put it on the Blizzard launcher, and I saw it was on sale for like $8 or whatever, and I'm like, I'm going to check it out. I haven't picked it up in several months, but I looked at it.
Right.
You know.
I wish I waited for that. I paid
Call
full
of Duty,
price.
I don't know if I'm going to wait for that. I don't know if I really have that much interest in it. I have enough first-person shooter games that I like already. I still replay the Doom game that came out a couple of years ago. I still replay Wolfenstein, because that's a badass game, both the one that they put out a few years ago and the sequel they just put out. Those keep me busy enough. I don't know if I'm going to be playing any Call of Duty Black Ops 4. But it was really interesting to see the community reaction to having this show up in our launcher. So, but you'll have to give us the report then at some point.
Yeah, when it's on sale. I'm not paying full price for it.
So we're going to jump back, shift gears real quick, and go back to the Battle for Azeroth beta, as there were a couple of things that I wanted to bring up in terms of some stuff that we've seen, a couple of additions. One of the things, jumping into a new expansion that has become a hot button topic of discussion for all of us, has been, when do we get to fly? How do we get to fly? Are they giving it to us? Are they taking it away? I mean, dear God, I never want to go through the hassle that we went through in Warlords of Draenor, where it was, will we, won't we? They kind of did it. They figured it out. I mean, that was handled horribly. I don't know why they went the route that they did, but they did, and it worked itself out. But the system that they established at that point really seems to be the way going forward that all expansions are going to be using, or at least they're comfortable with it for now, as it looks like in Battle for Azeroth, we're still going to be doing the Pathfinder system, I guess is what we're calling this, where it's part 1 and then part 2 and 10 and I don't know, however many we have to do. But it'll involve exploration, so you'll basically have to explore the whole map, or at least maybe in this one just your faction side of the map.
Right.
So Alliance does all of Gul Taras, the Horde side does Zandalar. You'll have to do a fair amount of questing, and you'll have to do some kind of rep grinds, which I don't like rep grinds. I really don't like them, but I know I'm playing an MMO, and that's just kind of the name of the game.
What I had discovered, when I was doing, when I had Pathfinder this time around, I actually had a lot of this stuff done just because when I was finished leveling and going through dungeons and stuff like that, I always found myself back in the zone trying to finish out the zone quests.
Yeah.
Legion, it wasn't, when they pushed the requirements out there for Pathfinder, I realized that I had most of it done just because we had that grind of what was the Nightfall rep that we had to go through. Suramar. Oh my God. Yeah. That was such a heartache, and then it just became a thing where I'm just like, I'm going to go crush Suramar today just because I can, and you just kept doing that over and over and over and over and over again, and eventually I got a mount out of the deal. I didn't realize I was getting a mount out of the deal either with that.
What was it, the Night Saber?
Yeah, the Night Saber, yeah. But it just happened to be just doing the world quests every day, and then after finishing out the storyline and things like that, I have a feeling they'll do the same thing here, where while you're exploring, while you're doing your regular quest line, and as long as you're sticking your one character, not jumping around, I don't think the Pathfinder achievement's going to be all that bad this time around again. I think they finally have a system in place that works.
And to something that you said is that they did a pretty good job, as much as I lament the rep grinding.
Yeah.
They did a really good job with the Suramar elves and that whole vibe there, where as you progressed, as you got to different levels through your rep grind, through the questing and everything else, there were new steps along the way. There was something that opened up. There was a story being told. There was something more being added to your experience, rather than, let's go back to Mists of Pandaria days, where it's, I'm going to go do these world quests, and it's going to, if I got an hour to kill, I'll try to do as many as I can, right. and I just keep hammering the same quests over and over and over and over, and dear God, I'd had enough.
Yeah.
But they do seem to have at least something built into place where it's like, yes, we know you're going to have to do all these things. We're going to make you invest in it, which is, it's not a bad idea. But given the choice, say we could wave a magic wand, do you prefer this method of unlocking flying or the old days where you just buy a tome for 100,000 gold or however many, probably like 1 million gold now or some inflated number, but which do you prefer? Which do you think, which do you prefer for you, and do you think it makes a difference for the health of the game?
So what do I prefer? I prefer going up, buying a tome, and flying. I do, just because because I have my quest, I have my alts that I like to work on, I have all that stuff that I like to work on, and I don't want to have to grind rep just to be able to fly. That's what I prefer. Do I feel it's good or bad for the game? I don't really feel it's good or bad for the game, because I just feel like whatever makes things easier for the people who are playing it, or however they enjoy it, if it makes it nicer for them to enjoy the game, great. Then just let them go buy a tome. I don't, I'll do the rep grinds. I'll do it just because I enjoy the mobility, I enjoy the freedom, I enjoy the everything that comes with flying. When I'm trying to do a quest, I don't have to run up and down a hill that I can't get up and down. I can just mount up and fly over something. It's just it's
drop right into that village and kill that chief,
exactly,
and jump right back out.
They're probably going to have to be a little bit I think this time around, though, because people are going to be running around flag for PvP, I think, it'll make things interesting for people who do fly. So yeah, but I do prefer the old method of just buying a tome. I know I'm a party pooper with that, but that's just me. I like to be able to fly, and then once my characters can fly, I can just level up my other characters and enjoy the game on my alts as well,
Yeah, I'm not shy. I'd much rather just be able to buy it and get on my way. But that's how it goes. But at least, it's something we've experienced. We know what it is. And Pathfinder system going forward, just get used to it. One of the other things that I wanted to bring up, and there's a whole bunch of stuff highlighted on Wowhead about this too, if you folks want to go take a look at this, is that so there's all the stuff for Battle for Azeroth, the new continents, all the new things that they're doing, blah, blah, blah. But they're also doing some updates to the existing areas in Azeroth that we know. One of them in particular is the tomb of Uther the Lightbringer, which, from what I saw, is, I don't know why they're doing this, but it's gorgeous. There's a completely different building around the statue now. It's got this beautiful stained glass. There's like a whole bunch of different kind of architecture around it. They've done high-definition model updates of several of the structures around it and near it. So I don't know if there's something going on, and I think it's Anderhall near there, if somehow this ties into my Lich King Part 2 Electric Boogaloo Hopes and Dreams. Spoiler alert, some of Bolvar's family may show up in the next expansion. I'm not going to say who or what or why, but listen, anything that gets us back to the possibility that there's an Arthas anything makes my day. So if you get a chance, go out to the Western Plaguelands. You can jump on, if you can jump on beta, go check it out. It's awesome. And if not, wait till it's live. Go there and check it out. Don't know why they're doing it. I don't know. Do you have any guesses? Why on Earth, why on Azeroth would they update that just out of the blue?
I guess just because they can at this point with the technology that they didn't have prior, I guess. And also, I'm trying to think, like, after when we're in Battle for Azeroth and we are fighting, I don't want to put too much in there, but people know that you're going to have the battle for Lordaeron. Well, we haven't been over there in forever, so we haven't been able to update any of this stuff. You couldn't. I mean, that's where this is it's really close to Horde territory. So maybe the storyline is, hey, now that we're here, we're able to, upgrade this stuff. Or again, the devs could just be like, hey, you know what? We're upgrading it just because we can, and it's cool. And here you go, take a look at it. It's.
Yeah, the only thing that gives me pause about it is, you think about from a business standpoint, they only have so many people and so many resources to dedicate to doing certain things. Like think of all of the bugs that people found in the Legion Alpha and the Legion Beta that still exist. There's still some out there, but they spent time to do this, and so there is part of the Shadowmourne quest for those of us that have done that in the Wrath of the Lich King era. That was a legendary that involved Frostmourne and the Lich King and a whole bunch of stuff. And you got this badass axe. You end up at Uther's tomb at one point as part of one of the little trinkets that you get. And there's a little speech that goes on there, and there's still that tie between Uther and the Lich King. So I don't know. I'm always hoping for something, but other than that cool little area that got updated, are there other areas that you can think of? You're like, man, you walked by it recently, like this could really use an update. Like this is looking pretty shabby.
God, the clocks in Stormwind that are always broken. But I'm trying to think. Goldshire's kind of been updated. I'm trying to think of some other places I'm trying to think of like some old times, like stuff that we've just taken it for granted because it's there. And
I'm thinking the heart of Ironforge.
Oh yeah, Ironforge.
You know how cool
absolutely.
That place could look?
Yep. You're right, because when you do go into Ironforge, it is very, very plain when you look at it, and it is still very like you have that vanilla feel when you go into Ironforge, and you don't stay in Ironforge very long when you're there. You go down and hey, we're in Ironforge. Okay, cool. Let's leave. It's like. The Deep Run tram goes there. Maybe that's another one that could get updated. The Deep Run tram.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, yeah. Maybe those
get Elon Musk on it. So back out here in the real world, Blizzard has announced that they're going to be at Gamescom this year in Cologne, Germany. This, of course, was the convention 3 years ago where they announced the Legion expansion, which I watched on the live stream in a hut that had very little signal when I was in South Africa. And I'll never forget seeing that crystal with Illidan and Gul'dan putting his hand up on that crystal. I mean, I freaked out. That was awesome. So when this happens, Gamescom will be happening the week after Battle for Azeroth hits. So we will only have had the game in our hands for a week. That's it.
Okay.
So it seems unlikely that they would announce something of that magnitude, at least as far as Warcraft goes. But they have announced things like patches, future raid tier kind of thing, having cinematics, like big cinematics in-game being debuted there.
Right.
So they didn't necessarily say that this was a Warcraft-related thing. They just said that Blizzard will be at Gamescom. But do you think that that's too early for them to announce something like a raid tier or show a cinematic? Or what do you think we might be getting out of that?
I was trying to think like of the other games, of the people who don't play Warcraft. Because those of us who play Warcraft who've just got Battle for Azeroth will be, neck deep in that. We'll be in that busy. In our own little we'll be busy. So I'm thinking that this will either be a StarCraft, maybe not StarCraft, or Heroes of the Storm. Maybe they'll release some new characters for Heroes of the Storm. Who knows? Or maybe they'll finally announce the Warcraft Battle Chest remake HD version. Who knows? That I don't know. But there's or Diablo. But I'm trying to think like maybe they'd save one of their bigger. Well, they're all pretty big IPs now, so I don't, it's tough to go, well, this one deserves to be released at BlizzCon. No, Legion didn't get released at BlizzCon. Legion was released at this, so, Yeah, I'm going to go with maybe updates to Heroes of the Storm, maybe a couple new characters, and maybe an add-on for that. Maybe something for that.
So one of the things that they announced, I think the only thing they announced that will definitely be happening there is they're doing some sort of a Hearthstone costume cosplay contest.
Oh.
Something.
Okay.
So I feel like if they're doing that for a specific title, that there may be some kind of announcement
I gotcha.
coming.
Okay.
Now, this is several months down the road. Hearthstone does seem to put out stuff on a fairly regular basis. So, I mean, it could be, for them, could be all kinds of things going on. I don't follow it closely enough to know, is this an expansion? Is this like one of their little, dungeon raid solo quest type things? I could very much see that. They're now in the post-Ben Brode era, so it'll be interesting to see if maybe this is their chance to say, here's what we're doing without that guy, and we're moving forward and doing those things. But yeah, Diablo seems like they're shit out of luck almost perpetually at this point. I don't know what is happening with that franchise. StarCraft, I think, has been relegated to the dustbin to some degree because you never hear anything about them anymore and what's going on other than... I still love watching the tournaments, I still do, but you don't see much happening for that game. But I think you're right. Heroes of the Storm, I swear, if you're a character in any Blizzard franchise, you're going to end up being in that game at some point.
Yeah.
There must be 1,000 characters they could pick from. I'm of the mind that there's an Overwatch announcement coming. Maybe even like a new team for the Overwatch League.
Okay.
Like I could see, because right now they only have a couple of teams. I think there's 2 teams that are outside of the United States. I don't think there's any European teams. So I could see them maybe getting a European team announcement. Reinhardt's very big there.
Yeah.
Like maybe, I don't know if that's, I just know he's from Germany. But it'll be very interesting. We'll have to check the feeds and the various streams to see what's going on, and I don't know. Maybe maybe Warcraft will get something good out of it, or we'll just see what other franchises are getting. Lastly, this week I have something that I don't think we've ever had before, which is a Warcraft related auction, and not only that, but it is an auction for the Warcraft movie, which you, of course, remember and loved just as much as I did. Nearly 600 items. You're hearing this correctly. Nearly 600 items are being auctioned off in this auction. It's going on right now. It ends on May 25th, and it includes armor, weapons, shields, maps, art, costumes of all kinds, even horse armor. Horse armor. You got a horse? You want it to look like Lothar's horse? You can buy the freaking armor for a horse. And it happens right now, run up to May 25th. Nav, if money was no object, what would you buy out of this auction?
I would get the mailbox, and I would dance on it all the time.
The Stormwind mailbox.
Stormwind mailbox.
Do you know what it's currently running for by any chance?
No, I have no idea. I can only imagine.
Current bid is $1,400.
Wow.
And there's only one. So of the 600 items, of which there are many duplicates, there are duplicate shields, swords, armor, all kinds of stuff. Just one mailbox. So that would actually be a pretty good get, I'd have to say. For those interested, there are not just, and this is kind of an interesting thing about this auction, I thought, was that there are the items, of course, that you saw in the movie. There's Alliance swords, Alliance shields, there's Horde weapons, Horde armor, Horde costumes, all that kind of stuff. But there's also some regalia, either banners or shields, from some of the other human entities that we did not see in the movie. So, for instance, there are shields from Lordaeron and shields from Kul Tiras, which did not make it into the movie, but are available for auction price.
Interesting. So they had plans.
So they did have plans, it seems, at one point to have those kingdoms, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
the kingdoms, yeah. It's some sort of sequel.
Or you never know. I mean, we certainly have plenty of lore to pull from. And I still think this movie got a raw deal. I will always think that, and I know it's partially because I'm a fan of this whole franchise, but the level that they got to in terms of their storytelling, it sounds like it got muddled a bit because of the studio involvement that happened, but the CGI that they did on the orcs is some of the best, if not the best, I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The level of detail they went with all of the costumes and the sets and everything else, I mean, it was phenomenal. I really think they got shortchanged. But I know in looking at this list over the last couple of days, I think I'm going to have to put a bid on at least a sword and a shield of some type. just to get something hanging up in this den while I'm recording these podcasts. Something over the computer. Because a lot of these aren't even, I mean, they're not steel. There's a couple of steel swords, but they're like $5,000. And
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of scratch. But some of these shields, I mean, you can get one for like, $150.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
That is really good.
And worst comes to worst, maybe we can get some tankards from the from the Goldshire Inn.
I'm really surprised that they didn't like just tie this into BlizzCon, show up at BlizzCon and put all the stuff out there. I'm sure they would have made a well, they're probably going to make more money doing an auction this way, but
yeah, and speaking of which, this was the one thing that I wanted to put out there as a warning. So, check out the auction. It's being run through the prop store auction. .com, I think, is the website. It's the prop store is a pretty well-known, famous website that runs these kinds of things. But there is sort of not a dark side, but there is an unspoken side of this that if you're going to place a bid on something, understand this: there is an incredible fee that is put on top of anything that you put a bid on, and I'd have to look it up specifically, but it is northwards of 20% that they tack on to go to the auction site.
Wow!
So if you bid on something that's like a couple $100, you're throwing on a whole bunch more cash on top of that, and if you're like me and you live in California, there's another 9.5% sales tax that's chalked up on top of it. So if you're in California, so let's say it's me, and I buy something for $300, I'm gonna have to toss on another $100 on top of that.
Jeez.
And pay for shipping.
Wow.
So, as cool as it is to see this stuff, and as awesome as it might be to have your own horse armor, just be advised that whatever price you bid on these things, there is an enormous fee that goes on top of that. So, if you're interested, just be advised. So, but other than that, I say to you, happy bidding. All right. Well, I think that does it for this episode. Other than this show, where can the good people find you on the internet, Nav?
Follow me out there on Twitter. I am at NEV_OX, and you can just follow me out there, and you'll see whenever I'm streaming and doing all sorts of stuff. I'm always on Twitter. I love Twitter.
It's a Wild West out there. As for me, you can always find me on Twitter at Berzerker Rage. Feel free to contact the show with your questions, comments, or party ideas at unshackledfuryshow@gmail.com. And you can find this show on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. So once again, thank you for listening. Remember to keep your swords wet and your banners high, and we'll catch you next time. Farewell.